And the BAFTA goes to 1917.
1917 is on a roll.
It certainly is.
It's doing so well. So last night we had the BAFTA Awards, which I usually really look forward to because it's the British Academy, it's the British Oscars, but I have to say it was a bit of an underwhelming evening, I thought.
It started off okay, and then it never really settled
No,
into itself. It was just like nobody looked particularly pleased to be there, but everyone looked like tired and listless and
yeah, really disinterested.
yeah, which it could have been for a number of factors. It could be that it's the condensed season and they're just burnt out at this point with, week after week of it. So it could be that, or it could be the terrorist attack that there was yesterday in
Yeah, yeah.
London. It could be that, or it could be, which probably is the most probable, is the BAFTA So White issue
Yeah,
really plagued everything. And
there was sort of like a dark cloud over
yeah,
over the event.
mm,
I mean, if it's not that, it was either jet lag or the fact that people already knew who was going to win,
yeah,
which I guess leads us nicely in. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the BAFTA Awards today and sort of use that as a segue into submitting our Oscar predictions because it's this week.
it is.
There's a lot of awards, as you can imagine, that went exactly as we've been expecting. So maybe it's just best to get those out of the way first.
Mm.
Should we start from the top?
Well, they're the most predictable ones, so we may as well get them over with quick.
I suppose so. So, best film, unsurprisingly, it's the BAFTAs. It's British. It went to 1917.
It did.
Yeah. Any surprise there for you?
No, absolutely not. I think there was no chance anything else was going to win at the BAFTAs specifically. Sam
absolutely not.
Mendes is British, and it's a very British film.
Mhm.
So I think it was absolutely 100% certain that it was going to be that.
Yeah. It also won the Outstanding British Film as well,
It
which
did.
again, not surprising really. Yeah, you mentioned Sam Mendes.
Mhm.
Sam Mendes obviously won for director. He previously joint won with Bong Joon-ho at the Critics' Choice. He won the Golden Globe. He's just won the BAFTA. it's just there's nothing more to say really, is there? And he is great.
I think it's very likely he's going to go all the way now.
Yeah,
I think he's got it in the bag. I think pretty
yeah,
much.
I agree. Then we move on to our acting categories. Anything significant you'd like to say about Joaquin Phoenix's win for Joker?
Apart from his really iffy speech, no. His message was nice, and well meant, but I think the way that he put it across was not great.
Yeah, interestingly, he's had a lot of praise
Mm,
over the last 24 hours or so. And yeah, I think what he has said is obviously really important. And although the way that he approached it seemed to be not so great, I think maybe that's what was needed. It took him having to confront everyone for them to actually now think about it. I don't know, in a roundabout way, it might really work. But in terms of Joker, though, I mean, no surprise at all.
No, I think you could put him up against any performance in probably the last decade and he would still win.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's that strong a performance.
yeah. He's unstoppable this year.
Yeah, I think so.
Also, maybe unstoppable, Renée Zellweger playing Judy Garland won Best Actress.
I think at the beginning it seemed like it was maybe a very thin tightrope she was walking.
Yeah,
Because somebody else might be able to take it, but I think it's at this point, I think it's pretty much set.
yeah. She sort of carries that film. It's about
Oh
her,
yeah,
you know. Renée Zellweger herself is just so unique. There's no one really else like her.
yeah,
And I think that kind of plays into her favour because people like her.
yeah. She's so sweet. I mean, watching her at the BAFTAs, I think probably did her huge favors. She looked like she was enjoying every minute of it. Not just for herself, but she was enjoying other people. She looked like she wanted to be there. There was a
Yeah,
lot of other people didn't look like they did, but
she was one of the only ones.
yeah,
And then I think we could probably condense these two into one: supporting actor and supporting actress. I think we
Yeah.
both agree that we don't think these are the most deserving people, Brad Pitt and Laura
No.
Dern. I
Yeah.
think they're probably the least deserving in each of the categories.
I don't see. I wish I understood what other people see in it, because
Yeah.
I don't get it.
We thought that maybe the BAFTAs would be the one that would break the mold a little bit,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
seems like globally there has been a memo
Yeah.
emailed around to say, right, this year,
It's their year.
yeah, let's give them a chance. Come on, right? So you're going to vote for this and you're going to vote for that, and they have.
Yeah.
Every single award show has, so it's got to a point now. Yeah, I kind of have to go with them.
I think it can be true when it's said that sometimes it's just certain people's moment,
Mm,
and it's just going to work out for them,
yeah,
because it's their time to get it. And it looks like that is the case for these two this year. It's their time to get it.
yeah. But I like them as people and I like their performances, but no, just no. So I mean, maybe this is the clearest sure shot win all
Mm.
round is Parasite for foreign language film.
Yes, I don't think anybody would have bet the money on anything else at this point.
No, no. I think it's got an even stronger claim than Roma did.
It wasn't so universally loved, I don't think, Roma. I
Mm.
think Roma was quite isolating in certain ways,
Mm.
because of its relatability, whereas a lot of people seem to have really cottoned on to the
Mm.
characters in Parasite. Not only that, obviously, but the actual filmmaking itself and the screenplay is extremely original.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah,
it seems like, I'm sure there's stuff like that being done before, but when you're watching it, you think, God, this is just so
it
different.
feels new.
It
Yeah.
feels new, yeah.
Another one I maybe should have said there was two that are going to be complete and utter unquestionable locks. Cinematography
Yeah,
for 1917. I can't
yeah,
imagine it would go
absolutely.
to anything else.
It's just too good.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that competes in any
Mhm.
way, shape, or form. Nothing competes with it. It's just inevitable.
Yeah. Makeup and hairstyling, Bombshell. I think there's just something about I think that they've replicated real people.
Mm.
It is subtle, I guess. Like
Yeah.
you could mistake people for not having the prosthetics and things like that, but
Mm.
it really did help transform those actresses into those people.
Charlize Theron, she looks like Megyn Kelly. It's
Yeah,
weird.
it's scary.
It's
Yeah,
weird how they've managed to do that. It's
yeah.
insane. Really, it baffles the mind, really, how they've managed to do it. Even what they did with
Oh, John Lithgow.
that's it. Yes, with John Lithgow. Even he looked incredible.
Yeah,
But it did look realistic. It wasn't jarring at all. It was
yeah.
believable. It didn't pull you out the film at all. And I think sometimes it can.
Bombshell's a really good example of showing how sometimes the best in a certain type of craft isn't
Hmm.
always the one that's blatantly in your face. Sometimes it's the one that is so good that it's invisible to you because it doesn't take you away from it,
Yeah.
like you said. Two more, I think, that were predictable and or expected. Score, original music for Joker.
See, I'm not quite as convinced
Yeah,
that it's a certain, because I think a lot of people have really enjoyed 1917.
yeah. 1917 is my personal pick.
Yeah, so I do think that possibly there could be an upset there if
Mm.
people prefer Thomas Newman. And I'm not sure if Thomas Newman's won one yet either, and he is quite a
I have a feeling he hasn't. I think he's had a lot of nominations and I don't think he's won.
maybe. I think that's true. I think that is true. So maybe that could be an upset there.
Yeah, I think with Joker, obviously with Joaquin Phoenix very likely to get the win. That's one win,
Hmm.
but it's not likely to really win at the Oscars anywhere else. So I think they will give it to Joker because it's something else to give to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the same time, it's a female composer as well. I don't know if that's ever happened at the Oscars. I'd have to look into that. But and then the only other one I had that I think was kind of expected is sound. They merged their sound categories at the BAFTAs.
They do, yeah.
1917. I reckon it's going to be a very similar picture. It's a war film. Dunkirk did it.
Yeah, I think what's required for the sound in war films, especially, it tends to stand out
Yeah,
when it comes to awards time.
yeah,
So I wasn't completely convinced, because I do think, though I haven't seen it, I've heard a lot of support for Ford versus Ferrari,
Absolutely.
and that does have a claim there.
Yeah.
So
The only thing I can think of that might be a disadvantage for Ford versus Ferrari is it's just car sounds.
yes,
That's the only thing I can think of.
which is where it's probably more
Mm.
likely to go for editing in that respect, because
Yes, yeah.
you can see the effects of it basically more than you can with the sound. So
Yeah. Well, speaking of editing then, let's tackle this as our first of the sort of a bit in flux. This could go to multiple films, shall we say.
yes.
So, as you say, it went to Ford versus Ferrari at the BAFTAs.
hmm
At the moment, we're toying between, is it going to be this, or are the Oscars going to go with something much sleeker and tight and something like Parasite?
I had Parasite all the way up to today.
Me too. Yeah.
But I think that Parasite is probably going to win in other places. Editing's quite similar to sound, whereas they go for something that they can hear lots of.
Yes.
Whereas
Yeah.
with the editing, they go for something that they can see lots of.
It went to Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah.
Yeah, they tend to go for something that they can really see.
No, that does seem to be the case, and it is a Best Picture nominee, and I think where possible, they're going to make sure that every Best Picture nominated film gets some kind of win in some
Yeah,
kind of category. Maybe not The Irishman, but mostly. It's certainly interesting. Costume design. It's another sort of one
yeah.
where there's a bit of contention, really. We both think Little Women should win the Oscar, and it did just win here at the BAFTAs.
I'll put a little tiny bit of a spanner in the works. I do actually think Jojo Rabbit is extremely good, because I do think Little Women's going to get it. But
Hmm.
out of preference, I think Jojo Rabbit might just edge it out for
Okay.
me, because I didn't notice the costumes in Little Women so much. Obviously, it's a period setting, so you expect the costumes. Whereas Jojo Rabbit, they stood out to me, and I noticed them during the film.
But at the same time, at the I don't know what it's called, but the Costumers Guild, Little Women wasn't nominated.
Yeah.
It went to Jojo Rabbit. However, looking back at some of the old BAFTA wins and how that compares to what eventually won the Oscar,
Mm,
quite often the BAFTA gets it right.
yeah. I'm definitely going with Little Women, and unfortunately, I do think it's the only thing it's going to win.
Yes.
So I want it to win, because I don't want it to walk away with
Mm.
nothing. I do want it to get something.
I guess it's kind of part of the production design in a way, but production design went to 1917 at the BAFTAs. Didn't go to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That seemed to be what it was going to be for a long time, and then all of a sudden it's just switched.
Yeah, and we talked about this. We think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has kind of died out.
Yeah, it really
It's
has.
like La La Land. It's a bit like A Star Is Born. They were released a little bit too early, maybe.
I think way too early. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out in July.
Yeah.
You're 7 months before the awards.
Yeah.
It's too soon. It doesn't matter how good your film is. The film world moves on too quickly, because every week there's a number of new films. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how good your film is. You cannot keep up that consistency for 7 months.
Bearing in mind that there was a time where Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a Best Picture frontrunner, DiCaprio was in the conversation, Tarantino was in the conversation
Yeah.
for director and screenplay, and all these other things, and now it's just not. It's just not. Yet another sort of visual category that's going in a different
Yeah.
direction to maybe what we might have first thought is visual effects. 1917 won over Avengers, over The Lion King, over The Irishman, and over Star Wars. Although unexpected, I suppose, not a surprise, seeing as how well it was doing.
Yeah, when you actually go into the details, it's got very sound reasoning. I was a little bit surprised.
A lot of the visual effects, I think, is kind of hidden. The whole thing is a visual effect.
I think that's why some people maybe have been surprised by the win, because it's seamless.
A bit like with the makeup, it's invisible, so you know it's worked.
Yeah.
We should probably talk about the animated feature in a year where we thought things like Frozen 2 would be prevalent and Toy Story 4 would be stealing everything. The Golden Globe Award went to Missing Link.
Yeah, very surprising.
The BAFTA Award has gone to Klaus.
I was so chuffed a bit. My mouth dropped, and I was just so pleased. That was a really pleasant surprise. I've got nothing against Toy Story 4 whatsoever, but it is very much the same as what's been done before. Klaus has a very fresh look to it, very different style, and it really worked for me. So I would definitely back that.
The Producers Guild Award gave it to Toy Story 4.
Mm-hmm.
But again, from a producer's perspective, yes, that might be the case, but an all things considered approach, which is what the Oscars will ultimately do, could very much lean in Klaus's favour potentially. I mean, in the same sense, it might go for Missing Link. The Critics' Choice also gave it to Toy Story 4, so it is certainly very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which leaves two categories that kind of go hand in hand, where I thought it was dead easy up until when the Writers Guild Awards happened.
Yeah.
So for adapted screenplay and original screenplay, it was looking like the frontrunners were going to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for original and Little Women for adapted. However,
yeah,
there's been some changes of late. One which I like and one which I don't. The one that I like, which I agree with, is that the original screenplay is actually sort of leaning more towards Parasite, which is, like we said earlier, it's a very original film.
It's very deserving, I think. It really is. And like we said, I think that they are really wanting to give it all the awards that they can.
Yeah, they will, I think. I think it's similar to, I think it was 2018, Get Out versus Three Billboards. There was the film that was all-round good, very safe choice, which was Three Billboards, versus the choice that was more about the themes and the concepts and sort of being a bit more creative, I think. And I think that's what the original screenplay category should be about. So I'm predicting that Parasite will really steal this from under the nose of Tarantino. The adapted screenplay category, I had Little Women down from the very beginning, really.
Yeah, I did, all the way until about 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, obviously what's interesting about this one is that at the Oscars, they didn't nominate Greta Gerwig in the director category, so I thought they're going to give her the writing award instead.
Yeah.
But Jojo Rabbit has been taking a couple of the awards. It took the Writers Guild Award, and it's taken the BAFTA last night.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like my hands are tied.
Yeah, I think it's slipping away from Little Women, unfortunately. I know you're not very happy about it. I'm not necessarily upset about it because I did enjoy Jojo Rabbit, and I think it is an unusual film. So I can see why it's winning, because it's not your normal film.
It's great comedy writing. I mean, I'll give it that. It's a great comedy script for the parts of it that are a comedy. I think the Oscars are really going to like the fact that it is quite creative and new. I think they are more likely now to pick that over Little Women, although surprising. Well, that's all of them, really. There's only really documentary feature.
Which we never know. We never know this. We always go with something that we always say, oh, do you know, I feel more confident this year about this one. And then it completely goes to pot.
Yeah, with the exception of Free Solo, which was an absolute no-brainer.
Oh, God, that's because it was amazing. Absolutely love that film.
I think what's interesting this year is that there's one film called Fosama, which is Channel 4.
Yeah.
So obviously that was sort of the British choice, and that did win at the BAFTAs. But at the Oscars, I think very popular choice is a film called American Factory. So obviously there's a bit of an American twist on that. So right now, I'm not sure where it's going to go. I might have to do a bit more watching because I haven't seen American Factory yet. So that all being said,
yes,
it's really important now, because this is our last episode until after the Oscars have happened, that we should, to the best of our ability, lock in what we think are going to be our predictions. Now, I will say, though, there are 4 categories, including the best documentary feature, that I feel like I'm not ready yet to commit to. I've got a few more to watch.
Matt, you're never ready. Even on the night, you don't ever seem ready. I'm quite happy with my choices so far. I think There are possibilities that some of them will be different, but I actually
Mm.
feel more okay with it this year than I ever have in the past. I'm
Okay.
quite content at the moment.
Well, I think because most people listening probably won't know what these films are, let's not mention these ones.
Yeah,
We'll post them online when we're ready.
yeah.
I know I've got a few more I want to see. So that's the animated short, live action short, documentary feature, documentary short. Everything else are the categories we've pretty much mentioned today, and I have a feeling, I think we've agreed.
Yeah, apart from those 4, I think we're the same on everything else.
So let's start controversially.
Go on.
We're saying that the best animated feature is going to be
Klaus.
Klaus.
Yep.
This was a last minute change for us.
Yeah.
But something about it, I don't know.
It's my favourite. I'm quite happy to go for it.
We said earlier that the Academy liked it enough to give it a nomination over Frozen 2.
Exactly.
That's got to say something.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see what happens.
Mhm.
No brainer. Best international film, obviously, Parasite. No question.
Yeah,
Nothing left to say about that.
completely locked in. Yeah.
Yep. Likewise, I think best original song. We're saying "I'm Gonna Love Me Again," which is Elton John's song from Rocketman.
I think it could go to somebody else. I think it could.
Yeah, I think I've only listened to the song once and it didn't stick with me, but it's won everything else.
Yeah.
It's that logic, isn't it? And he won't shut up about it forever. So, best original score. We mentioned this might be a bit of competition between Joker and 1917, but we've both said that Joker is probably likely to win.
Yeah.
Could be an upset. Say upset, I'll be quite happy. I preferred 1917's
Yeah,
music.
I think it's possible that 1917 could win because Thomas Newman's never won. So, it's not out of the realms of possibility that he could sneak in and take it.
For sound editing and sound mixing, while we're on the more audio categories, you took a little bit persuading to get Ford versus Ferrari out of the question.
Yeah, I was less certain with that one, but after seeing last night and the way that 1917 has performed, I think it's probably going to pick up both.
Yeah, I've also said the same. Hair and makeup, we've said it, bombshell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Costume design, Little Women.
Yes, Little Women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say I would be quite happy for it to go to Jojo Rabbit because I did really like the costumes in that and it stood out to me while I was watching the film. So I'd be okay with that winning.
Little Women and Jojo Rabbit are definitely fighting.
Yeah, so I'd like to see that take it as well. So
A really interesting one next. Best visual effects. So while you might think that Avengers Endgame might go and win, even The Irishman for its de-aging effects, or The Lion King because it was completely made from scratch, we've sort of gone down the 1917 route now, haven't we?
yeah,
You sound thrilled.
yeah, I've been talked into it, not in a bad way. Seen the reasoning for it.
I held you at gunpoint and made you pick that.
No, you didn't. You made some very valid points, and it was enough to persuade me to change.
Yeah, ultimately, it's a film that is liked.
Yeah.
And it's got a Best Picture nomination, although I think both of us would pick The Lion King.
Yes, absolutely. And I hated The Lion King, and I still think it should win.
So 1917, again, it's one of those things, it might not be in your face visual effects, but people enjoy the overall style of the film.
Yeah.
I think it's a good risk to take.
Yeah.
Next, we have editing. I think we're both quite content now that Ford versus Ferrari is the likely choice.
Yeah, it's probably the one I'm the most unsure about is film editing and production design. I think are the two I think could go a different way. They're the ones I'm maybe the most unsure about.
Okay, well, we have no worries then with Best Cinematography.
No, absolutely not.
1917. No need to talk about that.
No.
Production design, we have made a decision today not to go with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood anymore.
No.
And it is good, but 1917
is better.
It's like the visual effects. It comes as part of the package.
Yeah.
And it is amazing.
Yeah, when you know that they built the size of the set based on how long the script took to read.
Yeah.
Is phenomenal.
and it's all been made, like not just the trenches and not just the bomb craters, I guess, but like the buildings, the whole towns were almost just constructed, and you
Yeah.
can just see that so much work has gone into that and craftsmanship, and
Yeah.
I think it's a really worthy winner. I'd love to see that. Adapted screenplay, we're now leaning towards Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
It's my least favourite film here, but I hope to be wrong.
It's second place for me, I think, Jojo Rabbit.
I don't know, we'll see. Original screenplay, again, another change.
Yeah.
We were both looking at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
We're now saying Parasite,
Yeah.
because Parasite needs more opportunity to win something, because it is extremely popular.
Yeah. It would be a very close call. I think it so could happen that it went Best Picture, Best Director to Parasite.
It could.
I don't think it's going to, but I could see a world where it happened.
Yeah. Acting awards, obviously we're going with the crowd here.
Yeah.
Laura Dern, Brad Pitt, Renée Zellweger, Joaquin Phoenix. If you're going to go for anything else, you're probably daft.
Don't bet money on it.
Director, Sam Mendes, surely.
Yeah, I think
It's too late to go back on that one.
I think he's won in too many prominent places now to not win the Oscar.
So I guess needless to say then that Best Picture, we're both going 1917.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and we're predicting that it's going to win 7 awards.
Yeah, 7, I think. I don't think anybody else could match that at all.
Well,
So that's it. That is it. Can't change our
yeah.
minds now. We've actually talked about it. People are going to hear it.
Yep.
Can't change our
Yeah.
minds now.
Oh, I want to put Parasite in editing. So obviously the Oscars then are going to be on, for us it's the morning of the 10th, but it's the night of Sunday the 9th of February.
Yes.
We'll be reacting sleepily. But yeah, I guess in the meantime, have you got a film to quickly recommend?
I am going to recommend Spotlight. You hate this.
I don't hate Spotlight. It just isn't The Revenant, is it?
I absolutely love Spotlight, and for some reason I've been on a bit of a true crime kind of cold case kind of bent thing this
A
week.
rampage.
Yeah, but that kind of got me feeling like I wanted to watch Spotlight again. So I did, and I just think it's so well made. It reminds me of All the President's Men. It's a very in-depth look at the journalism world and puzzling things out, doing the research. I love anything like that. I don't know why. I really enjoy it, and I thought it was fantastic. Michael Keaton was brilliant in it. So I'm going to recommend that. So can you top that then? What's your film?
I can absolutely top that. Yeah.
Go on then.
I take your Spotlight and I raise you The Lighthouse.
Oh, okay.
I can guarantee you will not like this film, Mary, whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think I will.
So you can just switch off for a few minutes if you want.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe, though. That's the only problem I'm going to have
It's
here.
weird and wacky and out there, right? That's what it looks like.
It is, but at the same time, it is extremely clever. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson play lighthouse keepers, one who's sort of been doing it for many, many years, and one who's kind of taken this job on. He has a bit of a mysterious past, you start to learn.
Yeah.
The two of them are basically in this very enclosed space on an isolated island surrounded by the sea, and the film actually depicts the claustrophobia of it all very well because the aspect ratio of the screen's very small. It's in black and white as well. And it's about the effect that being isolated has on the two of them, and the power dynamics between the two of them are interesting as well. This, I think, is the film that Shutter Island wanted to be.
Okay.
I think The Lighthouse better captures the mystery aspect, the horror aspect, and sort of, I guess, the overarching sort of drama aspect. But there are moments that are funny. There are moments that are surreal.
Yeah.
And it does draw you in because the more and more you watch and the more layers that are peeled back, the more you're sort of fascinated by it. And it's one of those films that you'll finish and you will keep thinking and thinking and thinking. You'll do the Googling and you'll do the YouTube, you'll do the Lighthouse explain. You'll be typing that into YouTube, and the things that are in there are so clever. I mean, there's lots of references to Greek mythology, all sorts of mythologies, really, actually. It's visually striking as well. Willem Dafoe has been robbed this year of a supporting actor nomination. He is incredible. yeah, if you want something that's different, I'd definitely pick up The Lighthouse.
Yeah. Okay. I might get around to it. It's not high on my list because I don't do weird and different.
It's nominated for an Oscar.
I know, but
Cinematography.
it's like it's at the bottom of my list of films.
I think you should watch it, and then at least you could say why other categories are wrong for not nominating.
I will do my very best to
Lies.
get in there. No, I will try.
Lies.
I will try.
Hmm. Well, we'll be back next week then with our reaction to the Oscars, and we might hint at what is coming up later in the year film-wise, and maybe even what's coming up podcast-wise.
Yeah, we've had a good planning session, haven't we? And there's some absolutely great stuff coming up. Well, we're excited anyway.
I'm happy to get out of awards season now. I'm kind of reaching my limit on what I can talk about.
I think that's how they probably feel as well. You get to the point where you're like, oh right, is it done? Is it over?
Yeah.
Are we finished yet?
Yeah. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube as CineChat Podcast. We're on Twitter at CineChatPod. You can find us on Instagram.
CineChat Official.
And you can listen on Spotify or iTunes also.
And you can email us at cinechatofficial@gmail.com.
Yeah, drop us a tweet. I'm not down with the kids. No, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Anyway, well, it's getting late.
It's bye from me.
It's bye from me. I need to sleep.